Macabre. Misfortunes.
I'm watching you. I am right behind you.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 109 of Macabre Misfortunes. I'm Jerry.
And I'm Tracy.
All right, Tracy. Today, we have another one of those stories that's going to piss you off. And it's also another one of those episodes where I'm going to butcher
A bunch of names.
a bunch of names and places because it comes from Japan.
Oh my gosh. Well, this ought to be interesting.
It's not intentional. So let's go to Japan, a little small town called Yokkaichi. This is February 17th, 2004. A 68-year-old man who is actually unnamed, and you'll find out later why he's unnamed. He was shopping in this huge department store called Jusco.
Okay. Jusco.
Jusco has since changed its name. It is now Aeon. A-E-O-N. Aeon is what I heard it say in one report. But they are the most popular chain of department stores throughout Japan.
Good to know.
Even bigger than like a Walmart or something.
Come on now.
I'm serious. You can get everything from food to mattresses to time in a massage chair all in this place.
Very nice.
So closer to like a
one-stop shop.
Sam's Club or something like that.
Yeah.
They are always super busy. So for shoppers' convenience, they have a little section with ATMs. I guess multiple because there's so many people needing to use them at one time. So our unnamed gentleman, who we're going to call Ochi-san, from this point on, had just spent the last of his cash, and he was going to get some cash from the ATM. He had apparently bought food, so he had a couple bags of food, and he stopped to get money from the ATM. I don't know why he needed more money before he left, but he did.
Maybe he needed some for parking.
Maybe. So he slowly walks up to the machine, both hands holding these heavy shopping bags. He was so caught up in what he was doing that he didn't really notice this one particular woman that was hanging around the ATMs. She had on a hoodie and had a baby strapped to her chest. I guess in one of those.
Yeah. Carriers.
Yeah. She'd been standing there for about 5 minutes, but in all that time, she hadn't taken any money out of the ATM. So Ochi-san got his money, and he starts walking towards the store's main exit. But just as he got to the exit, the woman quickly ran up on him and intentionally bumped into his shoulder. But it didn't stop there. Ochi-san figured that, it was an accident. She just bumped into him. At least until the woman began running her hands over his pockets.
She could have been a little less obvious.
I guess she was figuring she needed to do some, make it happen quick. It is a busy place. Ochi-san realized that, she's trying to steal whatever money I just took out of this ATM. Even though he was 68 years old, his hands still moved pretty quickly. They both grabbed at his wallet at the exact same time. The woman quickly realized that he was going to overpower her. So she tried a different approach. She grabbed onto his arm and she began screaming, "Thief! Thief!"
With the baby in front of her?
With the baby in front of her. As soon as she did this, 3 shoppers ran over. They see this woman with a baby screaming thief, and they assume that the old man must be attacking her. They pin Ochi-san to the ground and restrain him. Now, Ochi-san held on to his wallet, refusing to be robbed. He held on to it so hard that many of the bank cards actually shook out during this attempted robbery.
But I don't understand, if he's holding onto his wallet that tight, how could any cards fall out?
I don't know. I'm just going by what it said in the story.
Okay.
But I mean, maybe if we had my wallet out right now and you had your hands on it and we both had it tight, maybe because the cards are slick,
Well,
that maybe they should. I don't know.
I mean, it could happen, I'm sure. I'm just curious.
Well, anyways, that's what it said. So I'm taking them at their word. So he starts pleading with the shoppers to let him go, that, he was in fact the victim. But the shoppers wouldn't listen, and they called the police. This is when things get worse. So these two young, inexperienced officers were nearby. They got the call, and they arrived pretty quick on the scene. Seeing that Ochi-san was erratic, they immediately put him in handcuffs. They forced him to stay on the floor. The policemen handled the situation so aggressively that they broke one of Ochi-san's lenses of his glasses.
Daggone.
For the next 20 minutes, Ochi-san was on the ground with one of the officers' legs kneeling on his back. Ochi-san, remember, was 68 years old. He starts groaning, throwing up, and he even became unconscious for a few minutes. The stress of the entire situation and the brutality of the police had spiked his blood pressure. Still, the officers refused to take off his handcuffs or call for medical assistance.
Well, that shows your inexperience right there.
Eventually, some more experienced officers actually showed up over the scene, and they took control of the situation. They asked where the supposed victim, the woman, was, and the rookies had no clue because they didn't bother to keep an eye on her during the whole incident.
Wow.
She had slipped away without anyone noticing. So the officers also took off the handcuffs, and they called for an ambulance. But the damage had already been done. Ochi-san had gone into cardiac arrest. He died the following day.
You are lying?
Tracy,
Oh.
I'll tell you about the aftermath right after this quick sponsor break. All right, Tracy. So let's rehash real quick what's unfolded here. Ochi-san goes to the ATM. He takes out money. He's leaving. A woman with a baby tries to rob him. She grabs his arms when she sees she can't overpower him and starts screaming. He's subdued by shoppers. Police come, put him in cuffs, and he goes into cardiac arrest and dies.
Oh, I didn't see that coming.
So what do you think happened next?
Don't know. Hopefully I don't know what could have happened.
The day after he died, police filed charges against him.
Against him?
Yep.
Dude, he's dead.
Despite the fact that there was no evidence that he had committed a crime, or without even knowing who the woman was that was supposed to be the victim, he was charged.
Okay, well, but what's the point of that?
Just to close out a case. You still got to have, in most cases, you still have to have an answer.
Oh, remind us to never go to Japan.
They felt like it was cut and dry. So thankfully, there were a few officers that didn't like the way the case was being handled, and they took it upon themselves to investigate. After examining CCTV footage, they quickly determined that Ochi-san had been telling the truth all along. The woman had indeed been trying to rob him. He was completely innocent, and yet he was dead. And the woman was gone. So they searched Ochi-san's wallet for fingerprints, but that came up empty. Japan, I said we were going to get into this. Remember I said we didn't know what his real name was?
Yes.
Well, Japan has very strict privacy laws. Or if you're in England, privacy. So authorities have never released the CCTV footage. The laws are so strict that even still pictures from the CCTV footage are rarely released. So they even protect the criminals over there because of privacy laws.
Wow.
In this case, however, they did make an exception. Forensic artists took 2 images of the woman and enhanced it to give a clearer picture of what she looked like. Because if it's like any other CCTV footage, it's a grainy picture.
Right.
I don't understand how my Ring doorbell can have a better, more clear picture than what they have at a bank.
I do not know that answer. I don't know.
In 2005, 1 year after the incident had taken place, they released those pictures to the public. It still took them a year. People immediately noticed that the woman had a very unique look to her. Soon, internet users started referring to her as the Jusko zombie.
Oh, she looked that bad?
It's pretty bad.
Good grief.
Her face appeared completely inhuman, almost like it was a mask of some sort, maybe made of latex.
Dag.
It looks like something that you would see on, what was that movie where they would, you had that one day to kill everybody?
Oh, Purge?
The Purge. It looked like one of the masks they would wear on the Purge.
Okay.
But they're saying that it definitely was not a mask. So I don't know, because they're going by eyewitness accounts who saw some of this stuff. And they're like, no, she was definitely not wearing a mask. There was also a description that was given her as between 25 and 30 years old, 5'2", shoulder-length brown hair, and wearing dark clothes. They described her facial features as being very unusual.
Well, that sounds like they were being nice.
The baby strapped to her was also a real baby, because some people had suggested it maybe it was one of those realistic-looking dolls. Mm-hmm. And that would make sense if she was just trying to look like somebody fitting in or unsuspecting.
Right.
Here might be the strangest part of the equation. There are no CCTV cameras that caught the woman exiting
the building,
the location. So where did she go? Unless maybe she snuck in somewhere, a woman's room or something, and changed her clothes and left so it didn't look like her. I don't know, but there's...
Well, I mean, if her face looks like that, I would still say somebody, but...
You would think. But, I mean, if you're also looking from a distance from CCTV, and you're going to be looking at clothes more than the face, because you're probably not going to have a close-up on everybody. Anyway, the release of those images did not result in any new leads. And to this day, she has never been identified.
Oh, whoa. Oh, I feel so bad for him. And it probably wasn't even $40.
Yeah, well, I know it wasn't because it was yen.
Oh.
But I don't know how much the equivalent was, but she took out yen.
Why didn't she just walk up to him and say, sir, I could really use money? And I mean, if she did that and had a baby with her, I would totally just give it to her.
Well, I don't know. I don't know why she stood around for 5 minutes and he is the one he chose. Maybe he was just the oldest, more fragile looking person. And she thought that's who she had the best chance with. Or maybe she saw how much money he took out.
Yeah, but see, that pisses me off for real because, you know, those young cops didn't do what they were supposed to. He might have lived if they had called the emergency people.
Honestly, without a doubt, it sounded a lot like the George Floyd case.
Oh, yeah.
The whole time I was reading this, I was thinking inexperienced cops, which I don't think the ones with the George Floyd case, at least the guy who, the main one, I don't think he was completely inexperienced, but the people that were with him were rookies and what have you, which is why they didn't call. But, I mean, handcuffed, some medical problems, didn't call an ambulance, had a knee in the back for extended period of time. It was very similar situation.
Yes, it sure was. Well, I feel so sorry for him.
So,
and I hope that woman pays.
Yeah. I'll have to try to post some pictures of what those still photographs look like, because I'm telling you, she was weird looking. Well, you know who it kind of looked like? I'm not trying to be funny, but you remember Mrs. Swan on Mad TV? He looked like a man. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't think I remember her.
Oh. Anyway, that's who it kind of looked like. People out there who know, they'll know.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, we love you. We'll talk to you later.
Love you guys.